Hey everyone, these Q Acoustics Concept 50 floor standers are the best speakers I've ever plugged into my system, and let me explain why. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've been running them for 3 solid months now, using them as mains in a 25-foot living room and as rears in a 7.1 setup, and the first thing that jumps out is how quiet the cabinets stay. Even when I crank the volume to levels that make the neighbors flinch, the cabinets don't buzz or hum, just pure sound. That's thanks to the internal bracing and the anti-resonant damping pads they use, so you're not getting any of that cardboard box with drivers in it coloration you hear from cheaper towers. Dialogue clarity is next level. I watch a lot of dialogue-heavy shows and movies, and I can actually follow every line without rewinding. The mid-range driver is a 5.25-inch coated paper cone that's light enough to snap back fast but heavy enough to stay controlled, so voices sound natural instead of honked or nasal. I've tried pricier speakers that made voices sound like they were coming through a tunnel, but these just sit right in the room with you. Bass is where a lot of tower speakers fall over, but the Concept 50 surprised me. The dual front-firing ports give you a tight, tunable low end without the one-note boom you get from reflex ports that are too long. I set them up about 6 inches from the wall and dialed in the boundary gain, and they're giving me clean 35 Hz extension that actually moves air. I've played vinyl through them, yes, vinyl, and the bass on Miles Davis's Kind of Blue still has weight without sounding bloated. Treble is the part that usually gives me fatigue after an hour, but the 25mm coated fabric tweeters rolled off just enough to stay smooth. Cymbals don't glare, and hi-hats don't pierce. I've had speakers that sounded amazing for the first 10 minutes and then started to grate. These haven't done that yet. Build quality is another win. The cabinet is a single-piece baffle with a thick front baffle plate, so there's no flex when you're tightening down the binding posts. The gloss black finish is deep and fingerprint resistant, and the magnetic grills are actually magnetic, no little plastic clips to lose. Inside the box you get a pair of sturdy cloth-covered banana plugs, a manual, and a grill cloth if you decide to run them open. Pairing is straightforward. I've run them with a modest 60-watt integrated, a 100-watt AVR, and even a 200-watt monoblock setup, and they just scale with the power without sounding shouty. If you're coming from bookshelf speakers, the step up in dynamics is noticeable right away. Snare hits actually hit instead of thud, and string sections bloom instead of sounding cramped. Setup flexibility is solid. They're 40 inches tall, so they clear most TVs when you tow them in slightly, and the binding posts accept bare wire, banana plugs, or spades. The rear port is down-firing, so you can tuck them close to the wall without choking the bass. I've also used them as center channels in a pinch. The timbre matches the Concept 20s I have for surrounds, so the soundstage stays consistent. Now, they're not perfect. At this price they're heavy, each one is 57 pounds, so moving them around isn't a one-person job. And if your room is small or heavily treated, you might find the bass a touch too much. You can always tow them out a bit or add some absorption behind them. But those are minor tweaks compared to the overall performance. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. For most buyers, the real question is not whether Q Acoustics Q Concept 50 passive floor-standing speaker gloss black, price displayed is for 1 unit, for complete pair please order 2 units. Speakers for home theater surround sound sounds impressive on paper, but whether strengths like Hifi tower speakers and quiet cabinet design actually make daily use feel easier, more dependable, and more worthwhile after the first few days of excitement wear off. It is also smart to think about long-term satisfaction. A product like Q Acoustics Q Concept 50 passive floor-standing speaker gloss black, price displayed is for 1 unit, for complete pair please order 2 units. Speakers for home theater surround sound usually feels like the better buy when it stays convenient, comfortable, and reliable in normal everyday use instead of only looking good in the listing.